Hey friend, welcome to the Branding with Jade podcast. I'm Jade, also known as the Aussie Adventuress, and I left the high-flying corporate world to chase my dreams and build an online business. Now, my biggest passion is teaching you how to get paid to be yourself doing what you love. If you want my secrets on all things personal branding, marketing, entrepreneurship, and making money doing what you love, then lovely, you are in the right place. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Branding with Jade podcast. And as usual, I'm so excited to be here, and I have a very important topic to talk about with you again this week. But before I get into that, I just want to share a little bit about what's been going on with me in the past week, because I really think it's important to not just jump straight into the content, but to also let you know a little bit about my life so that you can get to know me and like me and trust me as a genuine human being, and not just someone who is here running a business, but hopefully someone that becomes like your friend. So I said that in my very first podcast episode, that I want to become like a friend that you listen to regularly, like I do with a lot of the podcasts that I listen to. It's like I'm listening to a friend just sharing wisdom with me. And so in order to do that, I also want to let you know about what goes on in my life so that you can actually get to know me. Now, firstly, I do need to apologize in advance if you can hear my cat meowing in the background. I'm not really sure what's going on with him today, Mr. Rafiki. He is not being quiet. He seems very restless and he keeps attacking me. He never has done that, but I don't know what's wrong with him. It has been like really stormy here over the weekend. It was actually like a huge hailstorm, and there's been fires all around. So I don't know if there's something in the air that is causing him to go a little crazy, but he's acting weird. So sorry if you can hear meowing in the background. I have tried everything to calm him down, and I just don't know what to do now, but I didn't want to not record an episode. So here I am, and if you can hear him, I'm sorry. So aside from crazy storms and fires, thankfully the fires are not near me, but they are pretty out of control, and they are around some of my friends. So it's not a very nice thing to be witnessing people going through. So my heart goes out to all the people that are dealing with the fires. I hope that this rain made it to you, this crazy storm that we had yesterday, and I hope that they can contain them soon, because it's so sad. I was at that beautiful rainforest earlier in the year, and it's such a lovely place, and to lose all of that is just devastating, and people's homes and all of that kind of stuff. So I really hope that they can be contained soon. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about today. We are a personal branding podcast, so let's get back into that. But I also wanted to share with you a little bit about what went on over the last week for me. So I haven't obviously got into the point of actually batching content yet, so I'm telling you stuff that's very timely. But I also quite like this, because I like to be able to put my little intro and talk to you about my life before I go straight into the content. So maybe I'll keep it this way. Probably eventually I will get more organized and actually batch my episodes, but I just haven't got into that rhythm yet. So this is the way I'm doing it for now, but we'll see how things evolve, because I know that most people batch their content, and that's how they're able to stay consistent and create a lot of content. So that is the goal, but we will see what happens. Anyway, this last week, it's been amazing. So I believe I made a brief mention on last week's episode about how I've recently joined a network marketing company. And honestly, the main reason I joined was because I was feeling really lonely here on the Sunshine Coast. I was wanting some friends, and networking events weren't helping me, because I just kept meeting people that were in the Gold Coast and Brisbane. So they weren't local to me. Like, I tried a job this year, and I've tried various jobs, and I wasn't really making friends in them. And so I was like, I need to do something where I'm actually going to meet people that are like me, that have similar visions, goals, passion, all of that kind of stuff, And the best way to do that, like, as much as I've said that I am done with affiliate marketing and that kind of stuff, I formed some amazing friendships through that because it was all about team building. And I really miss that vibe. And so it's not that I was done with affiliate marketing or promoting other people's products and that I'm completely over it. I just wanted to be a bit more cautious about what I invest in and what I put time and effort in before going and putting my name across anything again, because I want to make sure it's something that's there for the long run. I don't want to just be part of these hypey affiliate companies that come and go because they are get rich quick schemes. And so that's why I was hesitant to join anything or do anything like that. But what I realized is that I was really missing that network, and I miss that environment of people that are really similar to me and have that drive and passion and excitement about online business, because I miss having people around me that I can talk to that about. And yeah, I can talk to my family and friends and Freddie and stuff, but they don't get it. So it's really nice to have a network of people that actually get what you're talking about. And it's nice to talk to people online about it, but it's even nicer to be able to actually go and meet up with people in person. And so that was why I decided to join a network marketing company. For me, I haven't even used the products yet, if I'm 100% honest, but I wanted to join because I was missing that community feeling. I was missing being part of something bigger. I was missing having a supportive group of girls around me because all my friends are in Perth. And so I joined because I wanted a sense of community. And literally within the space of a week, it's happened so quickly. I have met the most amazing bunch of girls, and it just so happened like it was meant to be, obviously, because these girls, so one girl noticed from my welcome post that we were actually at the same event recently on the Sunshine Coast, and so she reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to catch up with her. And then she put a post in our bigger group and said, us two are catching up. Are there any other girls on the Sunshine Coast who'd like to meet up with us, etc.? And it turned out that they had a Christmas party organized for this weekend just gone. And there's like 30 to 50 girls that were going. So it's incredible when you put something out to the universe, how quickly it delivers it to you if you really set the intention that you want it. And so now I have this amazing network of girls, which is exactly what I was looking for. And when I've been speaking to my sponsor, the reason I wanted to join under her was because her story resonated with me so much. She moved from the UK. She was lacking that sense of community. She left all her friends and family behind. She came to a new place. She was only planning to be here for a holiday, but fell in love, stayed. And then she really wanted to make friends. And she has created this amazing community. And it was that common ground in our story as our why is behind why we were doing this that really made me connect with her, because I was actually looking at joining under another girl, and then I was like, no, I feel much more connected to this girl. And so that brings me to today's topic, which is all about why you need to start with why. So this all ties in with personal branding, business, all of this kind of stuff. If you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, then you're going to come unstuck. Things are going to unravel. Things are going to be like, it's easy for you to just give up because you don't know why you're doing it. You don't have a strong sense of what you're doing it for and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really important to understand why. And it might sound a little bit woo-woo, I know, but please hear me out, because if you don't take time to think about why you've been put on this earth, then you could end up living a very unfulfilling life. And one of my biggest missions is to help people really seek out their potential and live life to the fullest and not be constrained by all these rules that society have put on us, and not like obviously laws to stick to that, but I mean rules that these unconventional made up rules that we just accept as life. And there's way more to it than that. There is more than just going to school, getting a job, and being miserable for the rest of your life. And that is my big goal, and my big passion is to teach people this and to show you that you can create a life that you absolutely love, that you wake up every single day that you are totally excited about. And so that is one of my big whys. And I talk about that all the time, and that connects with people because everybody is searching for freedom in some way or another. And whatever your definition of freedom means, that is generally a big reason why people start doing something, because you want that freedom. So it's important to really think about why, and to get deep and to understand to your core why you are in business, why you are showing up on social media, why you're creating ad campaigns, why you want to build a team, all of this kind of stuff. You really need to understand the key foundations that goes on in your mind, because that's what's going to keep you going. So I want to talk to you today about my experience with this. I want to teach you some techniques to really dig deep and find your way, find your why. And I really want to help you get clear on this, because it's going to become such a strong part of your personal brand, because it makes up your story, it makes up your message, your vision, your values. All of that comes back to why you do what you do. And you might think I'm being dramatic, but if you think about it, up until this point, have you even given it much thought? If not, what have you been doing? You've probably just been more focused on going through the motions, doing what you think you want to do because of all the external influences that have led you to believe that's what you want, or have it worse told you that that's what you have to do. And so you're just stuck doing this stuff because you think that's what you have to do, or because people have told you that's what you have to do. And it's not actually, you've not actually given it thought about why you do it. You just do it because that's life, and that's what we all do. It's all based on external influences that have led us to believe that that's what we want. And then you get to this point and you're like, but what am I doing? And I don't know if this is how you feel, but I'm asking this because this is exactly what I was doing. And it wasn't until I reached a point in my life where I had this little niggling feeling, and then it got louder and it got louder, that there's got to be more. And that just started to consume me. And that's when I started my journey of self-development and entrepreneurship. And when you embark on this journey, a huge part of your success will come back to having a powerful why that keeps you motivated. Because if your why isn't strong enough, it's going to be so easy to just quit and fall back into old habits. But when your why burns deeply, you'll keep going no matter what obstacles you face. Not just that, but a huge part, and I've said this already, but I'm going to say it again, a huge part of building a personal brand is sharing stories. Stories help you form a connection with potential clients. And a big factor of sharing stories that have a meaningful impact is knowing why you're doing it in the first place, because then it comes from the heart. It's really passionate and powerful and well thought out, because it's aligned with what you desire and what you actually want to do and why you're doing it. So if you have a strong why, you'll generally find that your audience has something in common with you as well. And this is my whole thing about when I quit my job to start this journey of entrepreneurship. I really wanted to quit my job and travel the world. I had this strong why. And then it became that I was determined to never have to work in the corporate world again. And then it became that I was determined to teach other people how they can do the same, because if I could escape, they could too. And there's what's the word I'm looking for? It evolves over time, but it always has to be strong and it always has to be aligned. So you'll see my why hasn't really changed. It's just evolved as I've grown and achieved certain goals, and then it's gotten stronger and more convoluted, but it's bigger. It becomes bigger and more powerful and more passionate because I've achieved, like, my first why was quite small. I just wanted to quit my job, but it was big enough to drive me because I was so desperate to get out of there. And then once I got out, I was like, well, I'm desperate to never, ever, ever have to go back. So that's a strong reason. And then it's, well, I've done this. I want other people to feel this way too because this is amazing. So how do I help them? What do I do to show them? So your how and your what are based off your why, because once you know why, it's so much easier to figure out how and what, and you don't even have to have that stuff sorted out. Most of the time that stuff just comes because you're so focused on something that drives you from within, which is so powerful. So think for a moment, why did you start your business? Or if you haven't yet started one, think about why you want to. So like I've said earlier, for most people, it tends to be because they're seeking some form of freedom. For me, it was to escape the corporate world so I could travel more and spend more time with loved ones. For others, it's to stay at home with their kids. Others, it's to meet people. Like my new why was to meet people. So there's so many different reasons why you would do something, but it's up to you to know what's important to you and what your why is. And no matter what it is, as long as it's important to you, that's what matters. And so then when you can actually communicate your why clearly and consistently, the people that value similar things will naturally be drawn to you. So then you're not having to chase people. You're not having to hunt people down and do all this stuff that doesn't feel great to you, because you'll just be living within your truth and you'll attract the right people to you. So it all comes back to really powerfully expressing why you do what you do and sharing that message consistently, because people will resonate with that, because it's through that emotional reasoning that they'll get to know you, they'll get to like you, and they'll get to trust you enough to want to keep coming back and consuming your content and eventually want to work with you. So I want to actually talk to you about some books that I've read, and I read these long ago when I actually first started my entrepreneurial journey, and I'm really glad I did because they're such great books. So the first one is one written by Simon Sinek, and it's called Start With Why. So exactly the topic of this episode. And basically, it's a really great starting point if you're feeling a bit lost on the subject. I highly recommend giving it a read because it is a really good book. I think you can actually get a free PDF version of it online, so I'll link that in the show notes if I can find it for you. But basically, he talks about a framework which he refers to as the golden circle. And basically, it's got 3 circles, and on the outside is what, in the middle is how, and the heart, the center, is why. So most people start from the outside and try to go in. So they know what they're doing. They know sometimes they know how they're doing it. They can describe that. They can tell that to people, what products they offer, what features those products have. Some people also understand how they do what they do, so what their unique value proposition is, but very few actually know why they do what they do, or at least they don't articulate it for their audience. But the why is the most important, because this is the purpose. This is your cause, your beliefs, your reason for being, and it's what's going to attract other people to even care enough to pay attention to you. Because I've said it once, I'll say it over and over and over again. Nobody cares about your products. They care about how you make them feel. People don't buy people. People buy people, not products. They don't care about the products, which is why you could have 100 people sharing the exact same product and only one person can do well because they understand. It's not about the product. It's about understanding your audience and what drives them. What are they emotionally connected to? And generally, they're emotionally connected to the same kind of things as you. So if you know how to articulate that, then you are going to attract clients to yourself over and over and over again. So most people start with the easy stuff, the what, the how, and don't even really take time to go within and work out why they're even doing what they do. And this is what leads people to be depressed, be miserable, be at the top of a corporate ladder going, what the hell am I doing here? Why am I here? I didn't want this. It's exactly what happened to me. I went to uni and studied journalism, and I ended up staying in a bank for 10 years, dealing with home loans and all of that kind of stuff. But it was just the what. I was like, well, what do I want to do? I need a good job. I need to make money. This is a good job. This is making me money. That's enough for me. I didn't know why I was doing it. I was doing it because it was the job I got when I was in uni. Like, that was the only reason I was there. And I was doing it because my dad said banks are a good place to start. If you want to start in a job, go to a bank, because he worked at a bank. So external factors drove that. I didn't wake up and say, I love finance. I want to be a banker. I want to work in finance for the rest of my life. I love dealing with numbers and home loans and all that crazy stuff. Hell no. I just did it because I was going through the motions. And so it's only when I started to look at my life and look at where I was going and started to question, do I really want to be doing that for the rest of my life? No. And that's when I started to really do the work to figure out, well, what do I actually want to do? Why do I want to do it? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? That was a bit of a tongue twister. At this job. Why do I want to leave it? Why? You just have to keep asking the question until you get deep enough to figure out what it actually is that you want to do. So if there's not enough of a strong reason for doing something, it's easy to give up at the first hurdle. But when you're filled with passion, you'll generally push through a lot more. So this is like in my entrepreneurial journey. Like, I could have given up when the first affiliate company shut down, but I was too deep in it then. I'd had a taste of freedom. I wanted it. I wasn't ready to give it up. And so I kept going. I found another way to do it. So that's the thing. The what and the how can change. They're easy. As long as you stay true to your why, then different whats and hows will come along, because I knew why I was doing this. I knew why I wanted to start a business. I knew I didn't want to lose that freedom. And so when the first thing failed, I was like, well, what do I do next? As long as it's going to give me the same freedom, as long as it's going to keep true to my why and my mission, then it's going to work for me. And so you can keep the how and the what will keep being presented to you as long as you stay true to your why. And so that's why Simon recommends working from the inside out. Start with why, discuss the how, then end with what. The what can change, like I just said, but as long as you stay true to your why, you will always be satisfied. So a quick quote from the book, something that Simon said is, when most organizations for people think, act, or communicate, they do so from the outside in, from what to why. And for good reason. They go from clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. We say what we do, we sometimes say how we do it, but we rarely say why we do what we do. Now, you might be different, and I know I'm different. I always talk about my why because it's an important thing, and I learned that early on. But a lot of people don't know that, and so it's really important to understand that. So when communicating from the inside out, the why is offered as the reason to buy, and the what serves as the tangible proof of that belief. So that ties back in with the story I just shared about my affiliate business. That ended up failing, but I didn't give up on my business completely. I didn't get started because I wanted to build an affiliate business. That wasn't my why. I never woke up and said, yeah, I want to build an affiliate business. No, I got started because I wanted freedom. So there's many other ways to build a business that will still allow me that freedom. And that's what keeps me going despite the obstacles, because I have a strong why. So when other people have similar desires, they'll resonate with my story. They don't care about what I do until they've formed that emotional connection first. So they'll see me talking about going to the beach each day, or hanging out with friends, working together, or going out for brunches, eating healthy meals because I have the time to prepare them, all these different things. And they'll be like, I want that. I don't want to be commuting for 2 hours to work each day. She doesn't have to do that. Why should I? I don't want to be sitting in a dingy, dark office every day. She doesn't have to do that. Why should I? So you see, my why then becomes connected to their why, because they want to get out and do the stuff I'm doing. They want that freedom too. And so that's what drives them, and that's what gives them a connection to me. And that's what will then get them looking deeper to, how can I actually work with her? What does she actually do? So the why comes first. Another example is Apple. So if you were to just look at what they do, you'd probably be a little bit confused. Are they a computer company, an electronics company, a phone company? These are all very different things, but it doesn't matter, because it's not about what they do, it's about why they do it. And their mission is simple. They made this up quite some years ago now, but it was quite simple. They said, think different. That's their mission. Their mission is to be innovators, disruptors, be at the forefront of technology. And throughout its history, Apple has done that. They've been a challenger. They've changed the landscape in every one of those different things that I mentioned before. With the computer, they did this in the 70s and 80s. With iTunes and the iPod, they did it with the music industry in the early 2000s. And with the iPhone, they did it again with the mobile phone industry in 2007. Each time, while they're very different products, they stayed true to their why, which was think different. So that is what they become known for. That's what we identify with. We identify with wanting to be up with the latest trends. We identify with a fast advancing technology, a company that's innovative and exciting and new and fresh. That's the message. Think different. And so that's why every single iPhone release is an industry phenomenon. It's why customers camp out overnight and literally line up for hours and hours and hours to get their hand on the newest product. Now, I've never been that extreme, but I'm definitely an Apple girl. Everything I have is Apple. And so they really have transformed the way we do stuff, because they've always thought differently. And people are willing to pay premium prices for that. So another quote from Simon is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So in the case of Apple, we're buying the fact that they think different, or they're changing the status quo, because that's something that's so important in our times. We are opening our eyes. We understand that there's more to life than just following the rat race and following the status quo. And so their mission aligns with every millennial's mission. And that's why they are so popular with us, because their why is our why. Even though it's very different industries, they drive our why. They enable us to live our why. And so that's why everyone is so passionate about Apple. As Simon writes as well, we want to be around people and organizations who are like us and share our beliefs. When companies talk about what they do and how advanced their products are, they may have appeal, but they do not necessarily represent something to which we want to belong. But when a company clearly communicates their why, what they believe, and we believe what they believe, then we will sometimes go to extraordinary lengths to include those products or brands in our lives. Me joining this network marketing company is a prime example of that. I never wanted to join network marketing. I haven't used the products. I am not an epitome of health right now. These are all vegan shakes and that kind of stuff, but I want to get healthier. But that's just a byproduct of me really wanting to be part of this community. So I clearly believe in what this company represents. I clearly believe in what the business bombshells represent. I clearly love the community feeling that they've created, and I wanted to be part of that. So that was a powerful statement. That was they have nailed their branding and made me really want to be part of that. So it just proves that products aren't everything. The emotions that go along with joining something or buying something are far stronger. And that's why it's important to know the why and be able to communicate it effectively. Because starting with why gives your followers and customers a way to identify with you on a personal level. If your why matches their why, they are willing to stand with you through thick and thin. So without a clear why, people default to the what. And then you're always caught in this struggle to differentiate yourself in the sea of what. And you're forced to differentiate yourself with features, or worse, with price. So this is what you see in things like the coaching industry all the time. There's so many people out there, and if you are looking up that niche on something like Instagram, you'll see there's hundreds of thousands of people trying to promote the same kinds of services, which is one-to-one coaching, on confidence, on scaling your business, on launches, on health and wellness, all of this kind of stuff. And it's great. But if you can't confidently and clearly communicate why you have started that business and why you do what you do, why you want to help your clients, and and all of that kind of stuff, it makes it really difficult for you to be successful, because the people out there know that they've got a lot of choice, and they're going to choose the people that they resonate with the most. And the person they resonate with the most is usually the one that has a clear why and is sharing their story and is relating it back to the customer and making them see that they have the potential to do this too, or they can connect in a certain way. And so it's really important to do that, because products with a clear sense of why give people a way to tell the outside world who they are and what they believe. So remember, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. So if a company does not have a clear sense of why, then it is impossible for the outside world to perceive anything more than what the company does. And when that happens, manipulations that rely on pushing price, features, service, or quality become the primary currency of differentiation. So this is why you see a lot of people say, well, my services are priced really low, but I'm still not getting clients. Or I've done a bonus deal where I've discounted my price 50%, or I've got this special offer on at the moment and I'm still not selling my products. What's wrong? It's because they don't have a strong why. They are literally either marketing out of desperation, they're doing it for the wrong reasons, they're doing it because everyone else is doing it and they feel like that's what they should be doing. They are doing, like, they're there just to make money. They're not actually there for a strong enough reason. So they're not driven, they're not passionate. So you really need to actually know why you're doing what you're doing. And those people that are confident and passionate and have a strong sense of that are the ones that are going to be able to communicate more effectively. They're the ones that are going to build a connection with their audience, because they know how to share a story that actually resonates. And so it's important for you to get clear on your why, so that you can communicate more effectively, and so that you don't have to budge on your prices and you don't have to offer discounts, because that doesn't actually set a message of confidence, or it doesn't show or it doesn't give your potential customer that much faith in you because they're getting a good deal. I don't know about you, but I tend to pay more for things just because I think the higher price means I'm going to get better value. So sometimes lowering your price is actually telling people that you don't believe enough in your services, and so why should they? So you really need to think about this stuff, and instead of trying to get clients based on price or product and things like that, try to get clients based on having a really powerful why and knowing how to share your story with them in a way that resonates and gives them a connection to you, because that is going to be so much more powerful. And another really great book that covers this concept is Keith Abraham's, and it's called It Starts With Passion, Do What You Love and Love What You Do. So in this book, he has a lot of graphics and images that go along with what he's talking about. So it's a really visual book. So if you're a visual learner, it's a great book to read because it's not too wordy. Like obviously there's words, but it's also very visual. So it's a great book, and it has lots of little exercises in it too. So he also has a circle framework that he introduces, but his is broken into 4 quadrants. And it goes meaningful, milestones, mindset, momentum. And basically, each of these factors are important for creating certainty in your life, and they all come back to finding your why. And so he spends a couple of chapters on each of those sections talking about what they mean and how they are an important part of being clear on your life's purpose and what you're passionate about. And so he says, when you are clear on why you want to do something, you will find how to do it, or often in some strange and mysterious way, the how will find you. You'll either meet a person who knows a person, or you'll read an article that gives you an idea about how to achieve your goal. The challenge is that most of us don't start with the why. We start with what we want. And all too often we stop at the what. We don't progress any further or even go after a lot of what's. So the challenge is that after some time, our soul and spirit require that we pursue what is meaningful and what really matters to us. And that's why you find so many people getting to this point in their lives when they go, what am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I here? This isn't what I want. I'm not passionate about this. And that's why you see so many people going out there and starting new businesses or changing jobs or doing something else, because they start to realize that what they're doing isn't actually what they want to be doing. And when they start to question why, they can't find a powerful enough reason. And so they start digging deep and thinking, well, why do I actually want to do this? What if there's something else? Like, why am I here on this earth? What am I passionate about? Why? And then once you start to dig deep and find that, and you realize that what you're doing is no way aligned with what you actually want, and then that's when you start to change your tune and go ahead and do something different. So the common factor in both of these books is that why, how, and what must all be aligned. So your why, and this is why, I'm saying why so much now, it sounds weird, but this is why when you are at that point in your life where you start to question everything and you start to feel unfulfilled and you aren't enjoying showing up for work and things like that, it's because it's not aligned. And that's why when you start to question and you start to actually dig deep and go within yourself and figure out what your why is, you'll start to realize that there's so much more potential out there, and that when you actually just trust that you know what you've got to do, it'll just show up to you and you'll figure all of that out. So you don't need to have a clear what or how. You just need to know why, and the rest will just fall into place. But in order to build trust with your followers and customers, you need authenticity. And so that means that your actions, which is your how, and results, which is your what, have to be consistent with your why, which is your belief. So they all need to work together in harmony so people can detect inconsistencies. And when they do, that's when you can be perceived as inauthentic and you can lose trust. And so this is why, another reason why when people are online and try like saying one thing and maybe believing another thing or doing something that doesn't feel aligned, that's why they're not seeing the results, because it doesn't feel right to them and they're just doing it because they think they have to, or they've been told that's the way to do it. And so it's like when someone joins a business and they're told the only way you can build your business is to message 100 people a day and host home parties. Well, hello, we're in 2019. We're almost into a new decade. Those times have changed. There's many other different ways to do that. So you need to find what feels aligned to you and do what feels aligned to you. And when you're doing that, you'll have a different energy about you, and people can sense that energy, and people will be more inclined to work with you because they'll sense that excitement, they'll sense that passion, that confidence, all of that kind of stuff. So in order to create that harmony between the why, how, and what, you need clarity of your why, you need discipline of your how, and you need consistency of your what. So you need to know your own why and be able to articulate that in simple, clear terms. And then once you know how to clearly articulate it, you need the discipline to act in ways that support your purpose. So this is where the how comes in. The hows are the values and principles that guide your actions and decisions on a day-to-day basis. They are the true differentiators of your product or service. So say, for example, with me recently, where I was meant to start a job at a car dealership, and I was literally in tears. I was like, what the hell am I doing? I can't do this. This is so unaligned with my vision, my values, my messages, and I feel like such a sellout or a fraud if I do this. Yes, I may need to have a temporary job, but I don't need to go back to the corporate world to do that. And so if I didn't want to be out of alignment, and that's why I turned it down. At first I was like, ooh, dollars. And then I was like, no, I'm not putting myself through that again. I know how much I don't like that. I've spent the last 3 years preaching that I escaped the corporate world and that it's the best thing I ever did. Why on earth was I trying to get back into it? It did not feel aligned. And so I had to sit back and go, well, and then I literally created another opportunity out of nothing. It just appeared because I sat there and I did the work and I said, this isn't aligned with my why. How am I going to get out of this? How am I going to have something else? And literally the next day, something else came. So you don't always need to clearly know what or how. You just need to know your why. You need to stay true to your why. And if things don't feel aligned, do that inner work. Ask those questions and keep coming back to why so that you can stay true to that, because then you stay consistent. And so that's when you get to the consistency of what, because what you do brings your why to life. So a why is your core belief. Hows are the actions and decisions you take to support the why. The what is everything you produce. What includes your products and services, but also your marketing, your PR, your team, etc. And so for me, I knew if I took that corporate job, I wouldn't have the time to create the content. I wouldn't have the time to show up for you guys and do these podcast episodes, do my social media, share my lifestyle that inspires you to go out and create that lifestyle for yourself, because I wouldn't be in line with my own values and my own messaging. And it doesn't make sense to me to lie about that stuff, or like I said last week, don't fake it. So I couldn't do that because it wasn't going to be in line with what my message is. And so I had to recheck myself and make sure that what I was doing was aligned. And so I changed and I reset and I figured out a different way. And so now I can still show up. I can still have my days to myself, still create all the content I love creating. I can still work on my terms and I get the best of both worlds. So there's always a way to stay true to your why. And it is critically important that what you produce is consistent with why and how. The what is the tangible proof that people see, and the what needs to be reinforced over and over again to build trust. And that's why I share my story all the time. I share the truth of what's going on in my life, so you know that all my decisions are coming back to my why, which is freedom. Above all, creating a lifestyle-based business, a lifestyle business that enables me to have freedom and inspires other people to go out and do the same. So one final quote from Simon Sinek is, if people don't buy what you do but why you do it, then all these things must be consistent. With consistency, people will see and hear without a shadow of a doubt what you believe. After all, we live in a tangible world. The only way people will know what you believe is by the things you say and do. And if you're not consistent in the things you say and do, no one will know what you believe. It is at the what level that authenticity happens. So that little tongue twister was basically what I was just saying when I was sharing my story again. So how do you actually apply this? So the principle of start with why can have really powerful benefits in everything we do. So say, for instance, in a sales call with a new customer, you can start with why to help customers self-select to whether they believe in what you're actually offering. There's no point trying to sell something to someone that isn't aligned with you, and that's the benefit of doing a sales call. If they do believe in you, then they will buy into why you do rather than what you do. So that will set the stage for them to become a really loyal customer. And as a result, they'll be willing to pay a premium. They'll put up with the occasional hiccup, and they will be resistant to go elsewhere. So that's where your customer lifetime value really increases, because they're very much aligned with you. And it's about them trusting in you. They've bought you. They haven't bought the product or service. They've bought into you. So that's why it's very important to make sure you communicate your why so that they can make a decision as to whether they resonate with you. Now, you can also use it as a compass for decision making, which is what I did recently. So when pursuing anything new, there are so many unknowns. And despite that, there are plenty of people who will tell you what to do, and they will impose their own thoughts and beliefs on you and make you try to make a decision based on what they think. But you need to come back to why. Why did you think this was a good idea? Is it aligned with your why? Is there another way you can do it? All of that kind of stuff. Because if you know your why, you can quickly and safely reject any how or what suggestions that are inconsistent with your why, which is exactly what I did with that job recently. And even though I got an email from the lady saying, if you wanted to spend your days at the beach, why did you apply? And I was like, well, I didn't actually apply. I applied for something else and you offered me this one. So I wasn't it was a very different thing. Anyway, the last point is especially important for entrepreneurs. So basically, you need to be able to focus. And Steve Jobs once said, innovation is saying no to 1,000 things. So basically, as an entrepreneur, it can be easy to want to do everything and to want to start a million different projects at once and to do all the things. But you really need to come back to your why. And if your why is freedom, then taking on 1 billion projects at once is probably not going to help you with that. So you really need to think about what is going to actually be aligned, know your purpose, and only do the important things that are consistent with that. Later on, you can tackle new things, but at the start, think about what is most aligned. What do I want to focus on first? And then say no to everything else that isn't aligned. And the other thing you can do is you can really avoid the trap of focusing too much on your competitors. So there's that whole comparison thing, and especially on social media, it's so easy to fall into that trap where you look at what others are doing and you want to do what they're doing. You want to be like them, but you're not them. You're you. So again, come back to why you're doing what you're doing. They have very different reasons for doing what they're doing. They have very different goals and desires and purpose in life. So what's working for them might not work for you because it's not aligned with your why. So you need to always come back to what is consistent with you, and not pursue something just because that's what someone else has done. Because the more consistent and true you are to you, the more success you will actually have. So basically, if you're starting a company, start with why. If you're building a new product, start with why. If you're leading a team or trying to build a team, start with why. If you want to create a course, a podcast, a blog, any kind of content, start with why. Remember that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So the most effective leaders always win the heart first and then the mind. And the only chance you have to win the heart is if you start with why, because that's your heart. And the more you share your heart, the more people will resonate, the more you will hit those emotional chords, and you will have that deeper connection with people. And so that will really help you to propel yourself forward. Now, what if you have no clue about how to actually find your way? Well, I'll help you with that too. So, when you first think about finding your why, you're probably going to be a bit scattered and unclear because it's a question we're not so good at answering, as most of our lives are spent answering questions about what we're doing. People are always saying, what are you going to do when you finish school? What are you going to do when you finish uni? What do you do at work? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Nobody asks you why. And it's almost like there's this big, huge, actually, before I go into that, there's actually this ad that constantly plays here on the Sunshine Coast, and it's like, what are you going to do at uni, Callum? What are you going to do at uni, Callum? And like, it's literally on billboards, it's on TV ads, it's everywhere. And it's true. That is what our society is so focused on, and it's the wrong question. And this is the problem with why we end up with so many unfulfilled people, because they're not asked the right questions. They're not set up to have success because nobody asks them why they want to do what they're doing. Everybody just forces them to make these decisions at age 16 and 17 when you've got no clue about what you want to do in the world. And if you do have a clue and you actually tell people what you want to do, they probably shut you down and say, well, no, you've got to go to uni. What are you going to do after school? What are you going to do at uni? They don't actually care and give you options. And so I get really passionate about that because I think about it. I'm like, I wasted 4 years at uni and did nothing with that degree. Yeah, it's kind of helped me, but I didn't need it. And I think more and more, we don't need uni degrees. Anything you want to learn, you can learn online. And you can get qualified a lot faster. You can create your own income. You can break through so many barriers. It's amazing. So that's a whole other topic. Let's get back to talking about why. So that's the thing though. We are so trained to think about the what that we end up moving through life almost robotically. It's just what's expected of us. You go to school, you go to uni, you get a job. That's life. So we get stuck in mundane routines, and it's not until we stop and think about why we're actually doing what we're doing that the wheels start to fall off. And that's what happened to me. It's what I've seen happen to so many other people. And so what if you could avoid all that by just understanding your deep why sooner on, so you don't have to go through all of that and go through the pain of ending up totally unfulfilled and looking back on your life going, look at all that time I wasted doing something I don't love. Because you've only got this one life, so you want to go out and do what you love. So by now you already know my story, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. But I really want to help you dig deep into finding your why. And we may also refer to it as your major definite purpose. And there's one more book I want to talk about, and that's Think and Grow Rich. So in that book by Napoleon Hill, he's got a whole formula that you can follow which helps you find your major definite purpose. And I'll link that in the show notes as well, because that one is definitely a free resource. It's such an old book that it's outside copyright laws now, but it's still such a valuable book. So I'll link that in the show notes, and you'll definitely be able to download that one. But I'm going to break it down for you just a little to show you the exact steps I used when it came to finding my way. And once I found this, everything else just clicked. Now, once you're done with this episode, I do recommend that this exercise will take at least 30 minutes. So don't just try to rush into it. Actually set aside the time to do this properly, because giving up 30 minutes of your time now seems like a really small investment to ensure you have a lifetime full of happiness, don't you think? So let's have a look at what you need to do to actually find your why. So first things first, I recommend having pen and paper. None of this writing notes in a computer. You want that free-flowing thoughts, and that's so much better when you put pen to paper. Not only that, but there's just something magic that happens when you actually write something on paper with a pen. It triggers something neurological. I I'm not going to pretend that I understand or can explain it, but I know that it's true. I've read it so many times, and I've had things happen to me where I've written them down and then I've forgot about them, and then I've looked back and been like, oh my God, I made that happen. And I've heard so many stories about it too. So there's something about that action that really sets something in your mind and makes it happen. So you really want to get a pen and paper for this, because you want to get that deep and meaningful understanding. So you want to also be writing everything down. There's no time for thoughts and criticism of yourself. It's just free form writing. No matter how silly that little voice in your head says it is, just write. So the question we're going to be asking to start with is, what is my life purpose? And all I want you to do is set aside 30 minutes, set a timer on your phone, and just answer that question. And just write everything down. Every little thought that pops into your head, just let it out, let it flow, and just keep going and continue doing this until you find an answer that makes you cry, because this proves just how important it is to you. You want it so badly that once you realize, you can't help but cry about it. So in case you think, oh my God, like I cannot journal for 30 minutes, I wouldn't know where to begin. What is my life purpose? That is such a crazy, huge question. I've got no idea what to say. Here's some tips to help you. So first, write whatever comes to mind. Now, most people will think that the first things that come to mind are the answer, but that's wrong. You just need to get them out of the way so you can dig deeper and get to the root of your soul. And this is why you want to allow 30 minutes, because when you set that timer and you actually force yourself to just sit there and keep writing and keep letting the ideas flow, it'll be hard. There'll be times where you sit there and go, like you'll sit there talking to yourself going, I've got nothing. Why am I not thinking of anything? And that's okay too. You've just got to take it all as it comes and just let it flow, and do it for the full 30 minutes, because you will get so much more out of it if you just let it flow naturally. Do not filter and overthink. If it comes to mind, write it down. Don't let your inner voice tell you it's wrong. We want our subconscious minds to be in control of the exercise. And like I just said, there will be moments when you can't think of anything, and that is okay. If you get stuck and the answer that keeps popping up is nothing, just write it down, because once it's on paper, the thought is out there and it will make it easier to allow room for other thoughts to come through. Now, this is why we don't want to just go with what you write down first, because we want to get past society's desires for you. So you'll probably find that the things that you write first are the things that society has made you believe, or your parents have made you believe, or your friends, extended family, partners, kids, all these things. You'll write them down because that's what you think you want, or that's what you think, but that's not what you want. You want to really go deep. So these are what you think you want because you've been conditioned to think this way. Have a stable job, get a promotion, get married, buy a house. All of this stuff that society has deemed as the perfect picket fence life. But do you want that? Do you? If you do, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying that people don't want that. I know lots of people are happy in that lifestyle. But you need to think about, do you really want that? And if you do, what is going to make that life fulfilling for you? Because you're still going to have to work or do something that fills you with passion. So make sure that you're taking the time to figure out what that is. So we're aiming for a super deep understanding of ourselves. Now, also write any doubts. Don't be afraid of these. It's a natural feeling to doubt yourself when you're entering unknown territories. So write these down and move on. Resistance is progress. So like I said, you want to go for the full 30 minutes, and you might get a nagging feeling to stop and do something else. Do not stop. This means that you're really getting somewhere. You're starting to enter that murky territory, and your inner voice is telling you to stop, because it's that fight or flight response. It's that fear of the unknown. It's getting into uncomfortable places. But remember, everything good comes out of getting out of your comfort zone. So go there, let it go, and keep going. And if you go over the 30 minutes because you're starting to really get in that flow, keep going. Don't stop. Just get to your core. Start thinking about what makes you want to do the activities you've been writing down. How do they make you feel? What do you love about them? Why do you want to do them? The middle doesn't matter. So write all this stuff, just let it out, let it out, let it out, because the final answer is all that matters. And that answer is where you hit resonance. And keep going until you hit that point of resonance. Move in the direction of motions. Get to the answer that evokes your strongest emotions and touches the depth of your soul. This is the final answer you're looking for. So don't give up. If you're really struggling, go away and come back to the task. You'll find the answer. You just need to let it out. It could also help to go somewhere where you really feel at peace or calm. Like for me, I do all my journaling at the beach because that's where I feel creative. That's where I feel inspired. That's where I feel comfortable, at home, at ease, all of that. And so I really get a lot out of there, and I do the best journaling there because I'm in that inspired higher state. And so if you want to do something like that, that will help as well. Now, there's really no set time frame for reaching this destination. 30 minutes is a guide. You might get to that point sooner. If you get to that point where you're really emotional and feel so strongly about it, then you've probably hit it sooner. But if you don't, then keep going. You really want to push past that struggle and resistance because you do really want to get there. And so we are all different. And if you're at the very early stages of a business, then it might take you longer because you're not as open or used to doing this kind of stuff. So it does feel unnatural or weird to you. Whereas someone who's been on this journey for a while and has done a bit of personal development and all of that kind of stuff might find it a lot easier. And so we're all different. Some of us know ourselves better than others and may not find this task very hard, but some may have shut their needs down for so long that it's really difficult to get them back out. And so whatever time it does take for you, make sure you invest everything you can into this process because it will be the foundation for the rest of your life. Like, once you know why you are here and why you're doing what you're doing, your life can really turn around and become super passionate, super exciting. You can really feel fulfilled and help others feel fulfilled. And it's a really amazing feeling when you can do that. So once you get to the point where you have an answer to what your life purpose is, then it's time to craft it into a proper mission statement. So a statement that outlines your objective of life and your business and all of that kind of stuff. And you want to keep it short and succinct. It should generally only be a few lines long. So for example, my mission statement would go a little like this: to achieve my highest potential and live my best life, free from the corporate restrictions, touch thousands of lives and enable people to see the potential within themselves, to help them to become confident and create powerful personal brands so they can also live their best lives, to bring happiness to anyone I meet and live freely and in truth. So without even looking at that recently, I was not feeling aligned with that because one of my biggest points in there is to live my best life free from the corporate restrictions. And so as soon as I was about to go back into that world, alarm bells were going off. And without me even, like, that's the first time I've read that mission statement in a long time. And it's there, black and white. Don't do corporate. Don't do corporate. And so you can see, like, this stuff works because even without you realizing, your subconscious mind pushes you in the right directions to make sure you stay true to that statement. So that's why it's so important to get clear on it, to make sure that you live up to it. And so what I'm about to say now is something I haven't done because I've just said I haven't read this in a long time. But what I do also recommend is you write this statement down somewhere where you can see it every day and can read it to yourself every day. But even if you don't write it down somewhere where you can see it every day, you can still see that the act of just writing it once actually cements it in your mind. And even if you are not consciously thinking about it, your subconscious will think about it and will do the things to find the hows and whats to make it fall into place and to make sure you stay aligned with that. But the more you focus on this life purpose, the more you will attract it into your life, because the only real limit is yourself. And so the question is, how badly do you want this, and how hard will you work for it? And if you've dug deep enough to find your real purpose, then I guarantee you will not stop until you get it. No matter how many obstacles are thrown your way, you will not give up. And I know that because I know that's exactly where I have been. I have had the obstacles. Many people have given up at the points when I could have given up too, but I didn't, and I refused to, because I know that I'm here for something greater, and I know that. And I'm going to live up to that. And every single day I take steps to do that. And so I just want to encourage people to do the same, because I want you to live happy and fulfilled lives. I don't want you to get to the end and go, what the hell did I do? Why did I waste my life on something that made me miserable? So just make sure that you take the time to figure out why you're doing what you do. Start with that why. Include it in everything you do in your business, in your branding, and make sure that you share the stories, the messages, everything that aligns with that. That is the foundation of your personal brand, because that is you. That is the core of who you are. And the more you share that with people, the more you open up and allow people into the world of why you do what you do, the more you're going to attract the right people. And don't be concerned if your purpose changes over time. This is a natural progression. As you edge closer and closer to your life's purpose, you may need to tweak it slightly. So don't fixate on what you wrote down, as it's natural for you to change as you grow. It's actually a good idea to regularly review your mission statement and realize how far you've come, and delve deeper and deeper to see how far you really can go. So that's like how I said with mine, it's evolved, because first it was just I want to quit my job. Then it's I want to make sure I never get a corporate job again. Then it's I want to help other people do that too. I want to inspire others. I want to touch lives, all of that kind of stuff. So it evolves over time, but it always comes back to that original statement as well. So you'll find that yours probably goes on a similar kind of path. And if you're still struggling, I'm going to leave you with one final question. And I want you to just have a little fun and just dream a little again. Get a journal out for this, because it'll really help you. So I'm going to leave with the question: what one great thing would you dare to dream if you knew you could not fail? That's it. Much love to you all. Thank you very much for listening. I also want to encourage you, if you are listening, I would love for you to review it on iTunes and let me know what you think, because I would love to read your reviews out on the episodes. There's nothing more I want than to share the love and to celebrate you guys as well. So if you do enjoy what you hear, then please do give me a little review, because I want to get to know you guys better too. So I want us to be friends. But that is it from me for today. I really hope you got value out of this episode. And I have got a little bonus worksheet for you as well to help you really do those journal exercises and make sure that you dig deep in that and take the time to find that purpose, so that you can actually embed that in your personal branding and in your mission and values and vision and all of that kind of stuff, because that is basically the start of building a personal brand, knowing why you do what you do. Because when you know why, that's going to form the foundation of everything else. It's going to be in your stories. It's going to come through in the colors you use. It's going to come through in your website, your social media posts, the content you create, the photos you take, the videos you make. Everything you do is going to come back to knowing your why. So really take the time to figure this out, because it's super important. So that's it from me today. I really hope you got a lot of value out of this episode, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye for now.